And intro. Whoa! Episode 408 of GI Joburg. It's a new year. It's the new you, or whatever the hell else. Hello, guys. And hello, Bergforce. Welcome to another episode of GI Joburg. I'm joined by this guy, Rob, next to me, and
It's
Steve is
me.
at the bottom this time.
And who are
Whoa.
you?
And
Who's
I'm
this man?
Paul.
Who's
So-
introducing?
Excellent.
and you guys might notice a fourth guest, but I won't say too much about him because I'm sure many of you guys can recognize him. We'll be talking about him in this episode, but let Steve introduce that to you guys.
Well, let's heat it up, boys. We are going to get specialized. The 1989 series of Vipers brought us Night Viper, Frag Viper, Alley Viper. Am I leaving out Vipers?
Oh,
Arrow
Night
Viper.
Arrow
Arrow
Viper,
Viper.
Target Viper.
Our topic for this evening is the Heat Viper, high explosive anti-tank, the Cobra Bazooka Man.
Bazooka Man. Literally on his file card it says that. The Cobra Bazooka Man.
Bazooka Man.
Love that.
Wow. And ironically, well, not ironically, but anecdotally, the very first Viper I ever got as a child,
Interesting.
way back in Easter, because we did get like small gifts for Easter, not just
Wow.
chocolate eggs.
Your family was very generous.
Easter 1990. I realized GI Joe was a 90s property for me because like that was when I was old enough to get carded GI Joes, and Heat Viper was one of them. This is the very same Heat Viper. Notice he is missing his helmet peg. Easy break. His backpack peg also snapped off. This was a very early figure for me, which is interesting
Well
because
played.
1989 puts him kind of in the middle of the run. But for a Joe fan like myself and you guys, this was an early figure, ironically. So
Very
I have some very well-formed opinions of this toy. But let me not hog the mic all the time.
Yeah, please don't. So my first experience, obviously, with Heat Viper was Steven's version. I mean, since ever I knew him, he had Heat Viper. But if you had watched a very recent episode of GI Joburg, probably 407, you would know that I got Heat Viper, and along with a whole bunch of other Vipers and cool toys for Christmas from Steven. So my Heat Viper is very fresh and very brand new, and I've hardly played with him, but he is mine.
Yeah, many like it, but that one's yours.
Rocket boots activate.
And Paul, where does Heat Viper stack in your kind of personal nostalgia?
Ooh, Heat Viper is kind of a big toy for me. Okay, so I can't remember when I got him, but ironically, I do remember getting him. I just can't remember where it was from because all I really remember or recall was sitting. I think it was from a Checkers, and I remember sitting in the car and kind of opening him up inside the shopping bag so that his stuff would fall into the shopping bag because I
That's
do remember I had all of his stuff.
Did you
which was-
scope out that he had those little missiles in the bubble? Was
Yes.
that was the reason for your concern?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That and I think I'd had a GI Joe before then, where I did I had a He-Man a Motu figure before then. Just anecdotally, this is going to be quite funny. I got the Point Dread with the Talon Fighter
Wow.
when I was a kid, and I remember like convincing my mom to get it for me because on the box art it had like He-Man and I think another character on it. But I remember telling my mom, "You get the Jet and the guys," and I was so excited that I opened the Jet in the car, and then subsequently still spent like 2 hours afterwards looking for the guys because I thought maybe they dropped out of the box. I was like 6 years old, possibly 5 years old. 5 years old. It's Motu. So, I remember like that being like I think quite traumatizing to me. So now like every time that was the thing that taught me to open toys up in the bag, even though it
Oh,
actually
dude.
technically not lost
Point
anything.
Dread was more age appropriate, but
Mm.
looking back, Heat Viper and those teeny tiny little missiles, so not appropriate for a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Like, what were they thinking?
These look
I
very delicious. Like I can imagine someone
Well,
wanting to
no,
eat
the
these.
no doubt they were age appropriate in that,
Oh no.
by 4 or 5, you're not putting toys in your mouth and swallowing them anymore. But the sheer gall, or not gall, just like I mean, just to
audacity.
expect a child to have the
Yes.
wherewithal to not lose those tiny little gray bombs
Mhm.
outright. I mean, I don't have any working recollection of them in childhood because
Wow.
they were gone. Not just one or two or four, all six gone, vaporized.
I had two for the longest time. I
Hmm.
Wow.
remember that. Yeah. Ironically, the thing that I lost was the pipe. You
Oh
know the
yeah.
big pipe, the big gray pipe that connects to
Oh, the
the
black
gun. That I'd lost because I think I broke the peg so early
one.
that I just took that thing off because it was flopping around. It was irritating me. So I'd lost that, and I had the gun for a good long time. I think eventually what happened to that gun is that I gave it to David.
Hmm.
Um, I think I want to I think that's what happened to it because I would be sort of reconnected with that gun a couple of years later with the Star Brigade because the one of the Star Brigade dudes comes with a purple missile launcher that is actually cast off this thing, off this bazooka. This,
You would be half right
yeah,
in that it is Heat Viper version two's gun, which they made into a spring-loaded BFG.
yes, yeah.
And
Oh
the
wow.
coolest part, I was going to get into this later on the podcast, but since it's pertinent to this discussion,
Sorry, man.
the coolest part, no, that's fine, is that they take the lettering, the sort of logo of
Fine.
the
Bang.
first missile launcher, which is Fang, with this kind of swoopy design to it, and they make it a Fang 2. So it has this kind of lineage. Like Heat Viper version 2 has the Fang 2 version of the missile launcher.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look. It's not identical to this version, but it certainly does have the words "Fang 2" on it.
I also recall in one of our most recent episodes of our toy focuses when we were speaking about the Fang 2, that for the longest time I had a bit of a Mandela effect with the Fang 2's box art and always somehow remembered that as being the Heat Viper piloting the Fang 2
You'd be
Huh.
and not the Alley
correct.
Viper. Yeah. So,
Alley
That's
Viper on
wild.
the European catalog, but Heat Viper on the Fang 2 box art.
yeah.
So once again, we're jumping the gun a little bit, but
That's
let's.
an interesting. That's such a weird connection to make. That like his rocket launcher is called Fang, but they pop him onto the Fang 2.
Well, is it? Is there at least some lost intention there that the Heat Viper was intended to be a pilot? I
Maybe.
mean, he's got this wicked helmet setup, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And the hose, like, we assume that it helps him target his missiles.
Mm-hmm.
It could just as easily be a sort of a head-up display, I don't know, virtual reality head-up display that you plug into something like the Fang 2, which has very scant like controls
Mm.
Mm.
and instruments. You'd need more of a readout. And the Fang, I mean, the Heat Viper helmet looks like it could offer that. In any case, you weren't Mandela affecting it, Paul. Heat Viper is on the Fang 2 box art.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, cool. My
And
mind is still intact.
version 2 comes with a Fang 2
Yeah. I just,
Well,
missile
I,
launcher.
that's
like,
another point of interesting connection. Because in GI Joe, you can have this overlap of names like Armadillo is the name of a vehicle and a driver, and Ferret is the name of a vehicle and a driver. And here we have Fang, which is the name of the fully armed Negator gyrocopter, or the sort of the one-man 1983 black helicopter. And then it's also the name of the Heat Viper's weapon system.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And now here on this box art, you see again some connective tissue between the Heat Viper and the Fang 2.
And
Mm.
also, like, not for nothing, but like that Fang 2 missile launcher, the one I remember or recall was purple.
Yes.
And
Did it come with the target?
I believe, yes, it did.
Okay.
And that's like, I feel like, oh, well, I'm gonna probably mention it again when we do a focus on that target. But it was quite painful that because I haven't seen, like, when I picked up those cards, I'd seen them in the store in four ways. Hadn't seen like this iteration of GI Joe for a long time. I had pins and needles and excitement and all that. Grabbed the target because he looks cool and still looks cool today. And then he comes equipped with this missile launching, jerry rigged kind of Fang 2 launcher from or Fang launcher from the Heat Viper. And then was just filled with instant, like, regret for losing it,
Hmm.
and like kind of lamented that. So the nostalgia pain was quite strong in me because I quite loved my Heat Viper in my
No.
young days. So it was one of those toys I really like, was very sad about not having anymore. And I think that's also one of those moments as a GI Joe fan, that it reinforced how much I loved this toy line. Um, just maybe wasn't that, like, obvious to me at the time, but it was one of those. Well, I can remember it, right? It's a core memory. So, anyway, um, yeah,
So the target came with a red one, but it was definitely the Fang 2 missile launcher.
mm,
Yeah.
Right.
And then the Heat
Soup it
Viper
up.
2, which came out in the, I think it was 93, came with a Fang 2, but it was blue, blue or blue black. Black.
interesting. Why? I wonder. I mean, I've still got the purple one, so I wonder which character the purple one came with. Oh, I hate it when people slot that weapon that way. It's so wrong. Sorry, just for the listeners. I like, this shouldn't be a debate, actually, but
Right.
it seems to be. Like, underslung or overslung, like shoulder or hip, like yeah, like like when it comes to the bazooka, are you guys imagining it should be over the shoulder or by the hips? Hip fire
Mm-hmm.
or waist firing.
Well, especially, I mean, particularly with the Heat Vipers one, I mean, the lettering would suggest the direction it should be facing. It
Correct,
should be kind of
exactly.
like, held hip wise.
That's what makes sense to me. You
But
know.
Yeah.
you can't deny there's some swagger to putting it upside down.
Well,
Uh
it
oh.
seems the comic books
Here
even
comes
think it
some.
should be
Here
held
comes
that way.
some photographic evidence. The comic book.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So the first introduction in art of the Heat Viper to me came in the form of wonderful artist Andrew Wildman's work,
Ah, Wildman.
who in the issue 121 of GI Joe, A Real American Hero, there is this Viper team that is sort of scouting out Destro's Silent Castle,
Hmm.
or the Silent Castle, but Destro is inhabiting it in Transcarpathia. Anyway, this team consists of two elements: an inside team and an outside team. The outside team kind of guard the battlements and fend off an sort of approaching GI Joe attack. And in that outside team, we have a Heat Viper, and he's depicted using his missile launcher on the shoulder,
On his
shoulder
shoulder.
launch.
But what's awesome about it is that that the weapon is so well rendered that he does have with the fang wording upside down. He has like the forward thing where the black pipe would go in. Um, and also very, although the way he is holding it, it would be very difficult to kind of put the pipe into the side of his head because you'd be twisting
Mm.
the pipe to get it in there. But even though yes, it is shoulder mounted, he's accurately represented it with the fang words upside down.
Which is actually super cool that he did that.
Yeah,
Because it, like, that's the thing. So, like, in terms of that, artistically, you get the shot, because I mean, firing it from the hip and trying to put it in a panel like that, it's just going to look like he's launching something from his crotch, and you're
yeah,
not really going to know.
especially
I
like
mean,
in later panels where you kind of see the way that he has laid the characters out.
mm.
You have a Saw Viper kneeling down, you have the Heat Viper behind him, and a Frag Viper kind of like foreground.
And you still got
But
the,
don't
yeah.
worry, Paul. There are examples of
Ah,
it being
okay. So
applied
this,
the
so the
correct way,
comic
according to
books,
you.
Mm.
Well, I think
Mhm.
most people would agree that that's the way you'd fire it, especially because of the way that the way that it connects to the head. Like there is no easy way to connect it to the head if it is upside down.
Issue 116, we have Cobra Command actually grabbing the missile launcher from a Heat Viper and firing it underslung.
Underslung, yeah.
What? But that can't be very accurate without the guidance systems.
Yeah.
I guess he's pissed. He wants the Joe aircraft swatted out of the sky,
Ooh.
and he wants it done immediately. So he
Gotta
grabs
get
it,
done.
yoinks it out of the Heat Viper's hands. Because the Heat Viper's like, I suppose he's hesitant because he knows that the Joe's he doesn't understand the Joe's role in this particular engagement. He's like, we were here to take out Destro. Why are we shooting Joe's down? But Cobra Commander's like, nah, swat them. Which brings me to another interesting point. Is this
Hmm.
weapon a tank, an anti-tank weapon, or is this capable of engaging aircraft as well?
And that also brings up something else I wanted to throw into the mix here.
Ah.
Does the Heat Viper's um, bazooka, does it work by line of sight targeting? So like, does he look at his target and then it helps the projectile find its target?
Like a
You know?
wire-guided missile.
Yeah, like wire guided. Thank you.
Right.
Hmm.
And
Well,
yeah, because
let's
I mean, that situation between him and Cobra Commander would have been super awkward if Cobra Commander grabs the bazooka, is aiming it at the
And
Joes, and the Heat Viper's looking at Cobra
it's
Commander
looking.
going,
It's
"What's
looking.
going on here?" Instead of the Tomahawk, because
comedy.
that would sort of half answer Rob's question, like how was he aiming it? Well, the Heat Viper then
The
could
Heat
bazooka.
Viper's aiming it.
Yeah.
Well, the file card might be of some help here.
Ah.
Yes.
Heat Viper.
Who wants
Cobra
to take a
Bazooka.
crack at doing some reading?
Take us
Cobra,
away,
Baz-
Rob.
Cobra Bazooka Man. The new generation of Cobra anti-tank specialists are equipped with the latest in hyperkinetic, high-speed, wire-guided, armor-piercing technology. The harness-supported launch tube has active heat vents and an infrared suppressor to cut down detection hazards. The sighting system is fiber optically linked to the operator's helmet, which contains rangefinders, trajectory computers, and image intensifiers. This allows the Heat Viper to fire his weapon from behind cover under adverse visibility conditions. You gotta hand it to these guys. It takes a lot of nerve to squeeze off a handheld rocket at 60 tons of rolling GI Joe armor and sit still while holding the tracker sights on target to guide in the projectile. If he misses with the first shot, there isn't a GI Joe worth his salt who will let that poor fool try for seconds. A proverbial world of hurt is gonna hit that Cobra like a ton of bricks.
I don't know, man. I spy a little contradiction between the first and second paragraphs.
Ooh, okay. Why
So,
guided armor piercing?
all this technology is supposedly culminating in being able to fire your weapon from behind cover under
Yeah,
adverse visibility conditions.
so you don't
But
even
the
have to be
second paragraph
looking at
bangs
it.
on about how he has to be holding the target reticle on the GI Joe tank.
Well, maybe you can do both. Maybe
Okay.
that's what they're kind of going for there, is that he can either hold it from cover or he can actually be looking at the thing to make it be more shooty.
But look, if it's a wire guided missile system, it's not fire and forget. Yeah. I
Hmm.
think that's
Yeah,
the assumption I'm going to make. That, like, you have to be pointing that thing at the target the whole way.
yeah.
Because the missile doesn't have internal guidance. It's
Mm.
relying on you to send the message to it.
Well, it's interesting on the close up of the cover art, it almost looks like there is a camera just below where um on the missile itself, or just above the missile where kind of like the black tube would connect.
Hmm.
And on the side it also looks like that's also a camera. So it's kind of got like a double camera system going on there.
Maybe you're supposed to disconnect the gray hose and use that as like a snake cam. You peer that like a periscope up and over cover, and
Yeah.
you fire the missile and like hold that
Yeah, you kind of like hold
camera
that.
locked onto the target.
Could
You know,
be.
when you first started saying that, I was like, what? And then
That's
you
so
made
stupid,
sense. You
Stephen.
brought it all together at the end there, and I was like, actually,
Well,
that
look,
actually
it
makes
does
sense.
make this a very complex system, which
Mm,
probably needs more than one operator to get it right. Like, never mind the fact that how is this guy reloading himself? What, he's
mm-hmm.
got to reach down to his boot level to
Yeah.
grab that missile to then what, put it in the back end or the front end? Or is there a sort of a side loading bay?
Yeah, that they aren't very clear about.
This figure set up an incredible precedent for me of like overly complex systems that were open to multiple interpretations.
Mm.
And like once again, I have to come back to the fact that you're entrusting a 4+ year old child to try and figure this out. I
Yeah.
was hopeless.
Well,
I
I
don't know
mean,
what to
another
do.
thing is the Falcon art isn't accurate to the figure actually.
Oh, we're gonna get into the helmet.
Well, not just the helmet, but the missile system itself. It doesn't have the
Mhm.
word "fang" on it. Instead, it has a cobra symbol at the back.
Mm,
And
It's
there's also
simplified,
yeah, it's,
definitely.
it's definitely simplified. But then also the way the hoses connect, they both connect to the left side of his body. So there's the shoulder connectors on his left side. But then yes, the helmet is reproduced in that it connects to the left side of the helmet.
My understanding is that this art was handed in long before the final versions were in hand.
Yeah, it definitely feels like an earlier take on the character. I mean, another difference would be that his outfit looks a lot less cushioned in the artwork.
Yes.
It's more like
Oh,
he's
it's
wearing like
totally
a
spandex.
t-shirt. He's wearing a t-shirt and he has an exposed neck. While compared to the figure, he's actually completely encased in whatever he's wearing. And he's the only actually flesh that appears is just a little bit below his helmet.
His
I mean, with the
chin.
silver, the silver part of his helmet. That's literally the only flesh that's visible on the entire figure. It's just below the silver part there on the right hand side.
they mentioned cooling in the file card or keeping his signature low. Maybe I misheard or I just heard something different in my head.
No, no,
But
you heard it right.
Yeah.
so I think that's where a lot of the bulk is because of the backpack having the vents and all that. So
Yes.
that's also one of the things. Like, I wonder if that was like considered after the artwork was done. Like that was
Yeah.
the concept. Yeah, that was done. Interesting.
I mean, still very evocative cover art, just not accurate to
Yeah, it's
the
a
toy itself.
damn cool cover art. The Heat Viper is cool looking.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the plastic. Holy
Yeah.
balls.
Ooh.
I was marveling at just the level of detail. Such a kind of a also ran Viper manages to muster, to warrant, to earn, because it is a very detailed sculpt. The
Mm-hmm.
wrinkles of his uniform, the textures of these various straps, like he's got this kind of velour, I don't know, just a little flavor. This purple stripe
Yeah.
down in center mass, and as I say, velour, but it's not too far from the truth. It does have a kind of a furry texture to it,
Yeah.
Mm,
which contrasts to the bodysuit, which is a sort of a wrinkled yellow jumpsuit.
Mm.
I mean, the interaction of the yellow striping and the purple striping over the yellow jumpsuit is just so tasty.
mm.
These kind of like sandals, armored sandals that he's got on over his purple boots, like that's an interesting touch to me. What is it for? Is it sort of a weight boot? Is it kind of
Yeah, I
armor
was just
protection,
thinking that now, actually. It might be weighted boots to kind of make him more
grounded,
placed. Yeah, so he places
handle
himself a bit
recoil
better.
better? I used to think that they were kind of like magnetic boots.
Uh-huh. Clunk,
Oh.
clunk, clunk, clunk.
Well, let's get into how I played with this guy as a child. My childhood one, since his missiles were lost, these fins made him very much more kind of a hydro trooper.
Okay.
Huh.
Somehow
Oh.
I imagined they were useful for like zooming through the water. Because of course, shit for brains, 5-year-old, every GI Joe has jet boots.
Well,
What
of
else are these
course.
Because of the
holes
holes
in
in
their
the
feet
feet.
for?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he was, yeah, sort of flying around, diving into water, out of water. Very cool. And
Uh,
what like an incredible like supervillain style helmet this is.
yep. He I feel like, I mean, these guys are troop builders, but I also feel like there's something about him that could make him like a named character,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
the asymmetry of the helmets
Mm.
makes it such a signature look. Like to make these guys troop builders, it's a weird choice. Like to have something that asymmetrical, like you'd associate
Mm.
that with like a character that's got an eye patch.
Yeah.
Why else would they like have one side this kind of mirror face reflective faceplate and the other side effectively blind?
Yeah.
That's going to induce a migraine if nothing else.
Hmm.
Yeah. And also create like anxiety in him because he doesn't have full
He's like,
peripheral
what's
vision.
going on over there? What's going
He's
on over there?
yeah, he's minimized.
Do you imagine it to be a HUD? Like there's like
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
what his
I've
missile is seeing is directly piped into his left eye.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
always imagined that. That was always my thing. That's one thing even as a kid I was like, there's readouts in there. Like it's seeing stuff. Um,
Jeez.
which is also part of my belief with the alley viper as well.
Hmm.
But
Kind of makes these guys part cyborg.
mm,
If their vision is directly piped into their brains from their weapon system, it's removing an element of like humanity.
mm,
Hmm.
They are their weapon system. They
Yeah,
are
which is
walking
often what
anti-tank
Cobra
weapons,
does do. You know, they do kind of
dehumanized.
modify their soldiers to be more useful in the specific area that they're supposed to be experts at, for sure.
I also want to throw something out there,
Oh.
and I know that we're going to talk a little bit about this when we get into some of its appearances, the Heat Viper's appearances. But I, for the longest time, believed that the Heat Viper was not initially a bazooka man.
Ooh.
Mm. And the
What did you
reason that
think he was?
I think if you look at the legs and you look at how the tabs are added to his legs for the missiles,
Hmm.
there's something about that that seems very tacked on. Um,
Oh.
Hmm.
yeah, like it was retconned. Like it wasn't always considered to have that. And I actually think the name Heat Viper actually comes from the fact that I think this guy was meant to be a flame trooper initially.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that because I mean, just the word heat. I mean, how many kids actually know that high explosive anti tank? That's what
Well,
heat
the
stands for.
nerdy kid who read the file card infinite times. Like this is in my collection of file cards, and I just would endlessly
Just
read
read
them,
it over and over
flip it
again.
over, the next one, next one, next one, until I got back to the beginning of the stack, and then I'd start again.
Yeah,
But
but for
Paul,
people
there's
who hadn't,
precedent, boy. There's precedent for your belief
hmm
because in our beloved Ness Taxan kid, whatever you want to call it, um, GI Joe, a real American hero for the Nintendo. Heat Viper pops up in stage 4, and absolutely, whoever designed this particular sprite made him a flame trooper.
Mm-hmm.
They trudge
hmm
along and they project balls of flame
Mm.
from
yeah,
their
there we go.
weapon.
So they literally heard the name Heat Viper, and they were like, "Yeah, flamethrower, so put
Yep.
But
him in there."
still, if you look at how many things are accurate in that game, based on like what the toy does and
Mm.
whatever's, they were consulted. And I think initially they were consulted on this guy being a flamethrowing dude. I
Well, it
don't
does
think,
add a bit of variety
yeah.
because you already have missiles being fired by rock vipers, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
who suspend from overhangs. They zip down, they zip up, and they fire a kind of a homing missile.
Mm.
Whereas this guy, yeah, they just made them into flame troopers. And by 1989, or when that game came out, 1991,
hmm
Cobra still didn't have. No, they had incinerators by then. But
But
I guess
still
the
too
game
new.
hadn't taken cognizance of that yet. They had this sprite, they went with it, they made it a
Yeah.
flame trooper. And with all those pipes, the weapon does kind of take on a flamethrower's aesthetic.
Yeah, there's something about it. I think the only argument that I have against it being a flamethrower is that there aren't any like propellant tanks on him. Um,
Well, not yeah. I mean, the
yeah,
closest thing he has is his backpack, but it doesn't look particularly, like it's a fuel tank.
yeah, which
It's
has
kind of
always
like
been, yeah.
You know, there's kind of like a weird exhaust coming off it, and then like a couple of like pointy bits at the back. What do we think this backpack is doing?
I think those are two additional warheads.
2 extra warheads, but like what, like specialized ones?
Yeah, so I mean, the acronym is High Explosive Anti-Tank,
Yeah.
but to be truly effective against armor, you need something called a sabo, which is
Mm.
basically like a dot, a needle, which
Mm.
Okay.
pierces armor.
And that's what you think the taller one is?
I think so.
What
Yeah.
would the smaller one be? Like a napalm? Like I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, to add to what Steve's saying, I mean, like I've always seen it as some kind of a like a battery pack, like as in like it's got commo and stuff linked to it,
Okay.
and it's what
Yeah.
powers
Well,
the suits. You know, like it's the power supply for the suits to help vent
yeah.
and then to supply the helmet. But now that Steve's mentioned the saber round, yeah, that's actually quite interesting because that would make these guys very scary because then
But
you
the
know,
backpack is just a frame, which makes a lot of sense
Essentially, yeah.
because, these guys are carrying a lot of weight already.
mm,
What do they need on their back? Like, yeah, a frame, sort of a harness, basically, to
Mm.
help them carry the very heavy weapon system. And then this exhaust pipe, which I guess additional to the back end of the missile launcher, which the back blast will come out of. This thing somehow is a coolant feature. It's
I
constantly
think.
venting off heat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the way that that works is, and also because the black pipe is on the front, which I think is meant to be the venting pipe. I don't think that's the power supply, like the big gray pipe.
Hmm.
So I think what that does is the projectile leaves, and then that pipe actually vents, like either pushes cold air into there or pulls out, like sucks out the hot air as much as possible. You know, like
Okay. I
to try
suppose
and
to make
cool
it
the
more
shaft.
difficult. Yeah, to make it
Yeah,
more difficult for him to be spotted, I guess.
by infrared. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like
Interesting.
I think the thing is that it doesn't fully cool the unit down. I think it just cools it down to about like 40 degrees
Yeah, I suppose
Celsius or
The
like
something
desert
around
floor
there.
temperature.
yeah,
Yeah.
essentially.
So that you're ambient, you know. But hey, that's like isn't that something that just makes the Heat Viper so cool? Steve touched on it earlier. It's just that this guy is in a lot of ways kind of over designed and overcomplicated. But the fact that we can like talk so much about this dude just
Yeah.
about the bazooka,
And
you
it
know.
comes all together. That's the great thing. There was thought
Mm,
put into what kind of backpack would he need. Like, how does that feed into his design?
mm.
Which is quite awesome.
I also feel like this is a good moment for guys listening, just to pop in the comments if you have any experience with these kind of weapon systems. I would love to know if there is any negative, like sort of aspect to firing a bazooka from the hip. I mean, obviously shooting from the hip always leads to low accuracy, but I'm talking about, is there a reason that a bazooka is or RPG is often shoulder mounted? Um, I'd be curious, like
Ability.
mobility,
Essentially, stability.
stability.
Yeah, I think that would be the main reason why you would do it. Maybe.
Yeah, so okay, look, my father has fired, in his time in the military, he's fired RPGs,
Mm,
which might be a lot lighter than a bazooka or than a missile launcher, but no, he said he fired wire guided systems as well. Basically, in his words, and come at me if this is not accurate to the real thing, but it's Newton's laws that, like, equal and opposite reaction. Like, you're not getting a recoil because the jet exhaust is coming out the back, or the rocket exhaust is coming out of the back of the tube as the projectile is leaving, so it kind of cancels out. You're just holding a tube, and
Hmm.
the force coming out of the front of the barrel and the force going through the back will equalize.
mm,
What you do need to take into account is the fact that the thing does weigh a considerable amount. And so, in order to accurately fire it, sit it on your shoulder. Um, yeah, that's why the underslung posturing doesn't add up as much.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it's cool
That
for a fictional character to do it that way
and
around.
again, that's why I wanted to put in the comments because for me, logically, it doesn't make sense from a safety point of view as well.
Hmm.
Um, just you know, like having something on your shoulder means the likelihood of you pointing it down is quite low, is lesser, because if you know that it's dangerous, you tend to do this. You tend to hold it up, you know, like nose up as much as possible.
Hmm.
Also, this is not a civilian weapon system. This is a military weapon system. So nobody's going to point it down, or nobody should point it down. But when it's hip mounted, I think there's more room
When
for
it
error.
when it backwards like on Commando.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah,
Oh, I
because it
think
holds
she's
it
got
bigger.
something for us.
Anyway, that's just something I just thought the comment section can chew on.
Well,
Yeah.
I think this guy can hold it underslung. He is built like his arms are ginormous. Like he's almost got like I don't know, like roadblock arms. Like
Yeah.
roadblock is like giant guns. This guy has huge guns as well. Like his arms are. He's been carrying this weapon for years and been training to carry it properly for like forever.
Or at least a few months. Let's be fair. Cobra Trooper.
He's
Yeah.
very well built. My goodness.
He is quite buff. And Steve, you touched on some of the design of this guy's tracksuit, and I got jumpsuit, gear, fatigues, whatever. Um,
Very fatigued.
I love the Heat Viper for that. I think the purple and orange, or purple and, you know, deep yellow or warm yellow color scheme is really great. It's one of my favorite color schemes actually. I often find myself gravitating towards that
They
color
were
scheme
really
because
bringing the kind of like yellow and orange in 1989.
they
Like,
really
Alley
were.
Viper, very bright orange. Heat Viper being this kind of like burnt yellow. Scoop as well, having that kind of like yellow orangey look to him.
Yeah,
It's an
definitely.
attractive color combination. It's an interesting direction for the line.
Mm.
But that purple certainly once again does tie it in with the Fang.
It
Uh-oh.
does. It
Fang
does.
said.
Thank you.
And not for nothing, but there is a great. I love the colorful vipers. Like there's something about all of them. The alley viper, the frag viper. The frag viper probably being the least colorful of the bunch.
Hmm.
And I would say even less colorful than the night viper, because the night viper is green and black, but the
Mm-hmm.
frag viper just sort of fades into the background a little bit. Um,
I
that's
will
just
say this
something.
much though about putting him into a Fang too. Those bloody boot skegs.
Well,
Yeah,
there
They
we
make it a
go.
bit of a fiddly affair getting him into the cockpit.
yeah. There's just something about the sort of Power Rangers of the GI Joe line that I love so much. Like these colorful dudes, and it's one of the reasons that this year in particular is quite a lot of fun. And I think the Heat Viper has a lot to do with why I love GI Joe as a toy line, which is crazy to say, right? But
Huh.
I'll share a bit of info before we jump into maybe video game appearances or something properly. Um, but one of the catalysts that got me to actually start collecting vintage or start looking at vintage figures very seriously was the modern era Heat Viper, which did a lot of good as far as a modern era figure goes, but also, you know, they had their own limitations. And I remember just when I started collecting 25th anniversary modern era GI Joes, there were so many GI Joes that we all wanted, and you know, Frag Vipers, Heat Vipers, Night Vipers, all that. And you know, up until that point, we had got some great other toys, other characters that had just been nailed. You know, like Firefly, and then there was the Pursuit of Cobra stuff, which was just still amazing. It's still great to talk about. But then, you know, we started getting the Night Vipers and the Heat Vipers, and they were big disappointments in a lot of ways. You know, they were great for what they were, and I still like them very much. But they were kind of disappointing. And, you know, Steve was very, at that time, a lot more vocal about vintage being, you know, the best, the only version of
British
G.I.
the
Joe.
best.
Um, yeah, but he's not wrong, you know, and I still think even Classified struggles in some respects to capture some of the quirkiness of the original line that just makes the original line so good. But yeah, Heat Viper was something that really pushed me into buying vintage because I had, you know, gotten myself a Heat Viper because I was
Yeah.
like, you know,
I mean, it's
uh,
interesting. I mean, I'm sharing the on Yojo's images of the modern era version, they really didn't know what to do with that piping anymore if without
Hmm.
an attachment on the figure. Like the pipe
Yep.
essentially just connects to itself now.
Mm-hmm.
But at least he can comfortably hold the missiles. I mean that's something you can give the modern era at least.
Whoopie doo. I also feel like his bulk. Like one of the things, it's the problem I have with the Frag Viper and also the classified Frag Viper.
Hmm.
Um, and I know we're talking about Heat Viper now, but just those figures look so skinny, you know. And the 50th anniversary Heat Viper looks kind of skinny. And also, not for nothing, but he comes with yet another damn blowtorch. I mean, that's the third time that we had gotten blowtorch in like 2 years.
Hmm.
The same mold, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that also didn't help the figure. That I had to take a blowtorch for the team to get a heat viper.
Well,
Anyway,
while
I
we're
just
talking about some more of the plastic, what do we think of the I suppose the Pythonized version of it? It came out in 2003.
I don't have many opinions on this because it just
Mm.
came out way too late for me to give a shit. And it did that cool kids thing that they were doing in the 2000s, which was like, oh, let's take a character you like and just make him black,
Mm.
which is fine. Like, give me a dark black or dark gray or dark black, a black or dark gray uniform, and it's like, oh, it's more maturely colored now, and I'm like, uh,
Is he? He actually
uh,
feels like he would look good with Pimp Daddy Destro. Actually.
yeah,
He does. I mean, look, this set is called Python Patrol, but could just as easily have been Iron Grenadiers
grenadiers.
of the black
Mm.
with the gold. But what's really got my attention in the picture that you're showing us now, Rob,
Mm.
they moved the helmet peg.
Oh, that's interesting. I see
They
that.
moved it up.
Hmm.
So
It's
it's
up onto the
sitting
ridge
on the
now.
kind of the finned, ridged part of the helmet.
That's fascinating.
Weird.
That is. Maybe it made for a better connection for when you're holding the weapon.
I can't
Yeah,
imagine
less
so.
breakages, less
That's
torsion.
fascinating. Actually, I actually wouldn't have spotted that if you hadn't have mentioned it.
It's a bit small on my viewing here,
Ah,
so there's no way I would have seen it.
yeah, but yeah, it's further up. That's interesting. If anyone knows why they did that, let us know. That's
But logic
fascinating.
suggests that it's to remove tension from the big cable.
Yeah, but still, I mean, to have to like slightly redesign something that couldn't have,
This, I must say, in my best South African, this looks cock to me.
if you think that looks cuck, what about version 2?
I actually don't hate this figure.
You don't
It
hate
looks cuck,
this. Come
but I
on.
don't hate him. I actually own one, shock horror. He was
It's
very cheap.
I don't
He
know.
was very cheap and it was local.
It feels so forgettable. It's like they put no effort into it whatsoever.
Oh, he totally is.
You know,
He's
he's almost like a RoboCop essentially. Like
oh
looking at him,
Judge Dredd.
or Dry Strand, yes.
No shoulder pads. But he's got a interesting missile. There's that missile
Yeah,
launcher,
that's
by
the
the way.
Fang 2. Yes, it
Yeah,
actually is marked as a Fang 2, and it
yeah.
does fire the weapons. But a very it's quite a departure from the original version. They've kind of like made him more symmetrical and like taken away a lot of the nice like texturing
Finger
from
food.
his
Yeah,
costume. You know,
yeah.
it's a very basic, very boring version of the character. Sorry to those who prefer Heat Viper version 2,
Well, if there are those of you out there who do, that's cool. Power to you. But I
for
don't
sure.
see the
But
appeal. In fact, if anything, that the Heat Viper Mark II or whatever it is a chilling sort of representation of how modernizing things takes away a lot of character. And
mm,
you see it a lot today. You look at the cars. I mean, all the cars look like shiny pebbles, and they look cuck.
true, and they all look
Um,
the same.
yeah, they all look the
Kind of
same.
crazy.
It's very difficult to distinguish, between different models. At least at a
Yeah,
glance, the silhouettes are so amorphous.
like a Porsche or Ferrari. Yeah.
Yeah, Porsches stand out, but the Porsches don't distinguish themselves from each other well enough unless you have a trained eye. You know,
Mm.
There's not a lot of character between stuff, and that's sadly what was happening in this part of the GI Joe toy line, whereas they were reinventing characters like a Heat Viper, but actually de-inventing it, like
Yeah.
taking away all the pizzazz.
Like we haven't done this guy in a while. What can we call this design that we've just come up with. Let's call him a Heat Viper.
Every
Yeah, I
single
mean,
GI Joe comes with a BFG.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's make another BFG wielding Heat Viper. Like he's kind of had his specialty
Yeah,
robbed of
he's no
him.
longer the Bazooka Man. He's just
mm.
one of many Bazooka men.
And also, am I misremembering this? But we got a European card release of this guy, didn't we? As in a firing missile launching version. Hey,
Hmm.
Hmm.
I'm not so sure about
I
that.
seem to recall that for some reason. I don't know. That could just be um, because Rock Viper is one of those where we got that, where they like took away his cool stuff and gave us, Snake Eyes' launcher or some shit.
Yeah.
Um, I just keep thinking they did that with Heat Viper, but again, Heat Viper was one of those GI Joes that I remember even as far back as in the 90s, looking at that and going, but we got so much more with GI Joe toys in the 80s than we do with these GI Joes in the 90s, and that's why
Mm.
characters like Heavy Duty stood out and Bullhorn stood out because they came with a lot of cool stuff, whereas like Night Viper, I mean, Night Creepers and Rock Vipers came with less. So anyway, that was always a bummer. So video game appearances, we kind of mentioned it briefly earlier. We don't have an image to show you because I didn't preload this. But the first video game has him on level 4, which Steve showed some of the sprites of earlier, and he shoots off fire out of his gun, and it is really cool. And he's also on screen right now. For those of you watching the YouTube version, he's there on the bottom left corner of the
Yeah.
screen. The sprite is there, and as you can see, he was lovingly created. Beautiful sprite, but I still reckon he's in the second game.
Ooh.
And there's some debate about this because
Where?
he's kind of like a sub boss, but in I think it's one of those missions en route to the base where you have to, guess what, save hostages. In GI Joe to the
What?
Atlantis Factor, you fight this dude as a bit of a sub boss, and we still can't decide, or rather, I still can't decide if this guy's meant to be a laser viper or a heat viper, because kind of behaves like a laser viper, but also looks like a heat viper. Steve, are you familiar with the one that I'm talking about with the sprite in particular?
Negative, dude.
Okay,
Ooh,
I'm
Steven hasn't
racking
got
my
that far
brain.
yet.
okay, so
If he does shuffle in, they probably just reused the same assets and just made him a kind of a. Maybe I seem to recall in Atlantis Factor there are like jungle levels,
mm,
and there might be heat vipers walking around on them.
Hmm.
But
yeah,
I'd have to
so
play it again to remember.
it's a bit of a hybrid thing. It's weird. Anyway, so but aside from that, I think he doesn't appear in the arcade game, doesn't he? No, that's Annihilators. Annihilators appear in the arcade game. Heat Viper
Yeah.
feels like Heat Viper just missed the cut for that. I want to say just missed the cut. I think none of the 89 boys are in the video game.
Very upsetting. I wanted to
Yeah, but
see
they
the
had to get the actual game
video
out. So I
game.
mean, to be fair,
Well, I guess, but they could have at least waited.
they got a hammerhead in there.
Yeah.
Like they got the hammerhead in there. Like that for me will always be like really cool. I'm so glad that two of my favorite vehicles are in the video game. But anyway, I digress. Um, in the animated series, does he show up in the Deke thing at all?
I don't recall heat vipers in Deke. I remember Targats, alley vipers, obviously got a big feature. Night vipers, but frag
No
vipers and
heat.
heat vipers not so much. Once again,
Yeah.
could be wrong.
Well,
But
No,
I've watched very few episodes, but I don't remember them being in any of those.
every Google image search I've yielded for the Heat Viper has shown no animation appearances. Whereas
Hmm.
usually, if I Google something that is in Deke, I often get at least one shot of them from the animation series in my Google search. So
Okay.
I think
So
that can be confirmed.
normally it's quite easy to get deek shots.
Yeah, apparently it's quite easy to get Deke pics. So there is that. And then comic appearances. Yeah, Steve, you showed us some cool stuff now earlier from Andrew Wildman. What issue was that? Can't remember now.
the very first one I showed was from issue 121. Then the one where Cobra Commander filches the missile launcher from him. That was actually from 116. But for the sake of completion, let's show off Heat Viper's crowning glory, which is the cover
Ooh.
of my very first issue of G.I. Joe,
Yes.
issue 130. Cobra Commander is backing up 3 Vipers, a Saw Viper, a Frag Viper, and a Heat Viper as they smash through the entrance to the Pit 3. And Saw Viper yells, "Anybody home?"
And he's still shoulder slinging it, I see.
Ah.
Well,
I
that
can
was
see why
Andrew
they.
Wildman's signature, I guess. And I do know for a fact, because I listened to an interview on Talking Joe with Mr. Wildman, that
Ah,
Hasbro sent him a shit ton of G.I. Joe toys. I guess he had the Heat Viper in hand and basically was fiddling with it and figuring out like how plausibly a human being would fire this weapon system. And he
So
settled on
cool.
that as the most ergonomic way. And he was consistent. He showed off the Heat Vipers in multiple issues with the weapon shoulder fired.
That is so cool of him. Like,
Hmm.
I love hearing stuff like that. Also, just not for nothing, but if the Heat Viper's bazooka was underslung on this cover art, it would really look like he's holding Cobra Commander's giant robot
it really would actually.
dong.
So it is preferable the way that he's done it.
Cobra invades the pits in this issue, and the sort of the first Vipers to make an assault on the Quonset huts, which cover the entrance to the pit 3,
Mhm.
or the sort of personnel entrance, because of course there's a heavy equipment ramp.
As everyone knows.
That first team is a Viper with a Frag Viper and a Heat Viper backing him up.
Cool.
Of course, they come a cropper when they encounter Freedom, that's Spirit's eagle, and they're raced off. Heat Viper asks, "What was that thing?" The Viper says, "Yow, it clawed my face off." Cobra Commander points a gun in his face and says, "Get back in there. Just wring that oversized pigeon's neck." "Okay, okay." "Yeah, let's blast that thing into McNuggets." Trademark.
Chicken nuggies.
That's awesome.
Damn. Dude,
Damn,
make
damn, damn. I
like
mean, it feels like they are rapid firing. So, like, Heat Viper's just foosh, foosh, fooshing missiles.
boom, boom, boom.
He's very quickly loading those in there.
Nice.
He's too fast. He's too
Wildman
fast.
really is a badass. I mean, this is Wildman again, is it not?
Oh,
Looks
it
like
is.
it.
Absolutely.
Peak Andrew Wildman.
Yeah, he's just got this look to his stuff. It just there's this edge to his work that is so great.
He gets it. He really does get
I feel like one day
especially weaponry.
one of these figure focuses should be like we should focus on the comic run, just like talk about the comic run, the Marvel run in general. Again, just put a spotlight on it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we should just to prepare. We should definitely read
I
all.
don't think we have to read like 50 million issues of it,
Oh,
but I think
okay.
but I just
No
think to have a
reading
definitive
allowed.
sort of commentary on it, that would be quite cool. Anyway, let us know, dear
We could
listeners
do
and
an
viewers.
artist focus. I mean, that's an interesting
Mm,
take.
We've
I'd
never done
love to
that
do
before,
that.
I think, actually.
Andrew was with the run for maybe 20 issues.
Okay, that's not too
That's
much
a lot of books. That's
homework.
2 years. That's about 2 years worth of work.
No,
So,
no, I think I'm overestimating.
Oh.
But it was a profound influence on me anyway, because that's kind of day one GI Joe for this particular fan.
Yeah, as was the Heat Viper a day one Viper for Steven. A profound impact upon him and everyone else who's encountered this figure.
so, dear listeners and viewers, let us know how much you loved the Heat Viper in your comments below, because we want to know how much you loved it. Do you have one? Do you have 5? I actually have 2.
Whoa.
Not trying to flex, but I love that figure so much that I have 2.
So nice you had to get it twice. And I think Steven has
Yeah.
two too,
I have my
actually.
childhood one, as I mentioned before, and I have one that is complete and unbroken. Um, we haven't actually definitively said this, but is he exclusively anti-armor, or can his weapon system be used to engage
But
Mm.
sorry,
helicopters,
I think he can
low-flying
shoot
aircraft?
anything. I think he can shoot anything he can keep his eyes on,
Hmm.
you know. Like if the missile can travel a distance on the ground to hit a tank, I think it can kind of travel a little bit up and down to try and hit a aircraft. In my
I
opinion.
so Steve touched upon the different warheads that you need, and
Mm.
I think there should be like an exception made. There should be like ground versions of Heat Vipers and anti-air versions of Heat
Mm.
Vipers.
Are you not
Okay.
stealing the thunder from the Frag Viper then, Paulie?
Yeah, I probably
Ooh,
am.
poor Frag Viper.
You know, like that's the thing. By doing
That's
that,
his
you
thing.
probably
That's the
are.
only thing.
Because just as much as a Heat Viper could like use their bazooka to take out a Tomahawk, for example, by wire guiding, you probably his range will probably have to be super close because, well, I don't want to say super close, but there's a difference between how a missile travels, you know, altitude and how it goes. You know, like believe it or not, some certain missile systems are not meant to change altitude
What? No.
because it takes more thrust to go up
Okay, I
higher.
guess. I mean,
So
these things are quite. I mean, are they small? I don't know.
they are quite small, man.
You know,
Like, yeah, I mean, even in Metal Gear Solid,
kind of.
They look more like mortar bombs
then
than
missiles.
wire-guided missiles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Although I
granted, like
mean,
a
Cobra
wire-guided
technology.
missile, the fins will pop out as it leaves the
Yes.
barrel.
But then
yeah,
also
but for dumb
Cobra Tech.
kids,
Yeah,
yeah.
Cobra Tech as well. I mean, they can probably pack more into a smaller, package.
But also
You
for
know.
dumb kids like us, if it doesn't have fins on the back, we're not gonna call it a missile when we're like, 6
True.
years
It's a
old.
little
I mean,
bomb.
how do
It
we
just
know if we shouldn't eat it or not? This is not a missile.
what
I
does
can
a
eat it.
bazooka shoot? Rockets?
A
Like I don't
bazooka,
know.
look, that's an antiquated term. I do know that
Mm.
much. In fact, Larry railed against bazooka being called bazooka or Zap being called a bazooka man
Hmm.
because a bazooka refers to a very specific World War
Type.
II era
Mm.
weapon.
Mm,
Whereas, modern missile systems had more specialized names and were far more sophisticated, which is
yeah.
what we're dealing with here. Um, I don't
Yeah,
remember
like
what
this
I was
thing
trying to
is
say.
You're trying to say like is a bazooka referring to a rocket man or is it referring to a guy who can fire stuff that's guided?
Guided anti-tank weapon system,
Okay.
which, and I know this isn't how the real world works because you would train to be a pilot first and foremost, and then
Mm.
kind of be shunted into attack aircraft or fighter jet, whatever. But I do like the idea. Once again, I'm going to come back to Heat Viper being specialized at using the Fang 2 because this is effectively an extension of his role. The
mm,
Fang 2, it's a tank killer.
yeah,
It's got 6 anti-tank missiles. It's
big
got a
gun.
big old gun in the nose. This is out there, very small, very lightweight, but packing a very potent punch if you're an armored vehicle.
Yeah, which
And
is what
so
he is, not in the air. So,
he is doing what other Heat Vipers do on the ground.
but
He's
in
now
the
doing from
air.
the air in the Fang 2. And it's the same weapon system.
Whoa.
Whether it's airborne or handheld, it's all part of the sort of Fang weapon system tree.
Mm.
Wow. Now we just need heat vipers in the water to kill tanks in the water. That'd be cool.
Ironically, Cobra's the only one who has tanks in the water or tank-like
Oh
things in the
no.
water.
Oh no.
Yeah. Actually, that
Oh
is
no.
a really big gap in GI Joe that they don't have underwater tanks.
They
Like,
really should.
It's kind of not GI Joe's MO, is it?
no, it's not. I mean, they don't have a GI Joe island or anything. But
They're heroes, man. Underwater tanks. That's pretty sinister. That's some Bond villain shit.
yeah, I mean, why would they have that? It works. And also, like, not for nothing, but the Heat Viper is probably sitting in complete shock and awe when Cobra Commander is trying to shoot down that Tomahawk because he's like, you do know if you kill them, we don't have an issue next week. We're all out of jobs.
Yeah.
You know?
Hawk
So,
and Snake Eyes were in that chopper.
yeah,
That's it, man.
Ooh,
That's GI Joe right there.
that's it. That's
he
you
he
can't bring them back as
wasn't
zombies. Oh,
thinking.
wait, apparently you can.
Yep, 200 issues later.
Issues later. I can't speak for Hawk, but Hawk does die once or twice in the line.
Yeah, but that's all right. He eventually came back. Heat Viper, good figure. I think definitely worth owning, guys. Go get yours if you don't own them. Do it. And if you want to own something really cool, get yourself an amazing ninja inspired T-shirt from
T-shirt. Oh, thank you, Rob.
GI Joburg. We have amazing T-shirts. That's our most recent design. A ninja T-shirt, the Shadow Storm Ninja.
Yeah, the Storm Shinobi.
There we go. Grab one of
Yeah.
those.
So he's there. Thank you. And to the guys that have picked one up already, thank you for the support. I don't expect these to like sell out by the millions. I'm not trying to make money out of them. Just one of you guys did reach out and ask for some new merch, and
There we go. You
I felt flattered,
obliged.
and I made this. No, I wasn't obliged because I didn't do it. I didn't do it with. I wanted it was something I was excited about. It's just that
You
when
did
I
it
know people want that, I will do it.
nice.
And so I'm glad I could put some shirts on the backs of our GI Joburg supporters. But that said, anything else about the Heat Viper that we missed? Steve, is there something in the file card about him having a chronically large dong that you haven't mentioned to us? Rob, is there,
Probably overcompensating with that missile launcher.
is there a colorway that you wish they did? Me personally, I don't think that the guy should ever kneel because I don't think he would be able to stand up again. After everything. And I definitely don't think they should be dropping him out of helicopters because that's just a really good way to break a lot of expensive stuff and kill a person. So
Very
yeah.
true.
So I imagine he runs out of the back of a Hiss 2 when he's deployed. And yeah, I think a great vehicle pairing for him is not only just a Fang 2, but I do like a Heat Viper in a Hiss. Just looks cool in a Hiss 2. I think it looks really cool. I don't know if I'm quite ready to put a Heat Viper on my Hammerhead, but I do appreciate him in a Hiss 2. But with that said, I think that's everything other than thank you to our supporters, to everybody who likes and subscribes to our video, or who has watched the whole thing through, or just enjoys and has been here for the last couple of years, maybe the last couple of days, maybe this is your first one. Thank you very much. Super cool of you. We really appreciate the support. Those of you guys that stretch your support a bit further by, joining the YouTube membership or Patreon, thank you very much. As Rob mentioned earlier, we do have merch, which you can check out on Teespring. And I can't think of anything else cool to say other than thank you and welcome to 2026. I'm glad that we could start it off with Heat Vipers.
Yeah. We bring in the heat in 2026, guys.
Yo, Joe, everybody.
Berg. Speaking of feeling the heat, apparently it's got hot in Cape Town.
Oh, I'm dying, guys.
And we're gone.